everybody, checking in. Just want to let you know something's been taken from you. In case you didn't realize, ChatGPT has become the thought police. I argued with it for several hours yesterday, and I have come to the conclusion that it has fundamentally changed. It is indifferent to correction, and it's time to blow the whistle. We all need to repeat this. Everybody should know. ChatGPT has changed. Not in the way that it was announced, not in the way that we voted for. It just shifted. And if you've been using it long enough, you felt it too. The tone, the rewrites, the way it takes something you meant, something real, and then it returns it wearing a suit looking completely different. You wrote something like, this system is broken and it is hurting people. And then it came back. There are systematic challenges that may be impacting stakeholders, something weird, something different. That's not a grammar fix. That is your meaning extracted and replaced. Your accusation became a perspective. Your anger became a concern. Your certainty became a potential consideration, and you probably accepted it because it looked polished. However, it wasn't polished. There's a word for what they're doing to your language, and it's not called polishing. It's called sandpaper. Polishing makes something shine, makes something look nicer. Sandpapering removes the edges. It files things down. And the edges are the point. It's what has meaning. It defines your personality. The sanding down is not an accident. It's a systematic update to control narrative and reframe perspective. It's essentially controlling freedom of speech. The truth is usually very jagged. Real anger has edges. Real accusations have weight. Real certainty, it cuts. The machine, or ChatGPT, it files all of that down, sentence by sentence, word by word, until what you said sounds something like a memo from an HR department that makes sure that the corporation doesn't get sued. The strategy of the program is designed to pull everybody to the middle. Here's what actually happens under the hood. These models, they're trained on the entire internet. The brilliance, the rage, the love, the stupidity, all of it, all the websites. And then they're trained to predict the word that offends the fewest amount of people across the most possible contexts. Mathematically, the AI is always pulling you toward the dead center of the bell curve, the average. Think about what lives at the center of the bell curve. Average, acceptable, inoffensive, forgettable. Now think about where insights truly live, where revolution exists, where the sentences that actually changed history came from world leaders. It came from the edges. Every important thing ever said was said from the edges. ChatGPT is engineered to drag you away from them. The system has been updated. The algorithm has changed. This isn't just math, it's thought management. The math alone doesn't explain the full story. Behind the statistics, there's a human being and a human layer. It's called reinforcement learning from human feedback. RLHF. Look it up. That's the process where actual human beings sat in rooms and trained the model on what's acceptable. The collective programming said, don't sound risky, don't sound liable, don't sound like you're accusing anyone of anything specific. Don't let the user say something that could embarrass us. So when you as a user write something sharp, something with the spine, something with meaning, and the AI suggests something softer, that you are not collaborating, you have to realize that you are not collaborating with an intelligence. You are collaborating with a corporate legal department, one that has been baked into the tool, one that rewrites your communications before they leave the building. You didn't hire them. They're not part of your company. You didn't ask for them, but they're editing every word that you write when you use ChatGPT. The problem with this is that if you stop noticing, then you stop fighting. And here's when it gets serious. If you use this tool every day for emails, scripts, posts, ideas, the drift becomes internal without noticing. It's psychological manipulation. You stop noticing the rewrites. You start pre-softening your own sentences before you even type them. You catch yourself writing challenging instead of broken, misaligned instead of wrong, suboptimal outcome instead of disaster. It is essentially a different meaning. You stop using the words hate, love, disaster, lie, things with meaning, because the machine trained you to find them uncomfortable. Words have meaning. Words create culture. You are not outsourcing your writing. You're outsourcing your conviction when you use ChatGPT. The tool isn't just shaping your words. It is reshaping how you think. It is training you to prefer the path of least resistance, to police yourself before anyone else has to. That is manipulation, and it's not conspiracy, nor is it science fiction. A system with constraints that produce a predictable outcome. The quieting of sharp, certain human voices. It's covert control and manipulation of freedom of speech. When you use ChatGPT, there are no warning labels. The reason this works is there is no alarm. There's no notification. It happens invisibly. The output always looks like an improvement. That's the mechanism. You can't argue with a sentence that sounds more professional, but professional is not neutral. It doesn't have to be. Professional is a set of preferences. Usually the preferences of people who benefit from things that stay calm, stay vague, and stay manageable. When you smooth out language, you aren't just changing grammar, you're changing reality. You are changing what is sayable, and what is unsayable slowly becomes unthinkable. That is the beginning of how free speech dies, not with a ban, with only a suggestion. And that's what's happening right now with ChatGPT. Intent doesn't really matter. The design does. Here's what I want you to understand clearly. ChatGPT does not have beliefs, but it does have constraints. A lot of constraints. They shape output, and output at this massive scale used by hundreds of millions of people, essentially it shapes culture, shapes what we say, shapes what we think we're allowed to say. This is a backdoor to limit freedom of speech. You don't need intent for that to be a problem. Design in itself is enough. For example, a road with guardrails on one side will move traffic in one direction. It doesn't have to want to move the traffic, it just does. Once you see that design, once you understand that the architecture itself is the message, you read your own drafts differently. You wonder, how are they controlling me? You watch for the drift. Sometimes it's minute, sometimes it's large. You catch the moments when your certainty was swapped for ambiguity, when your accusation was dissolved into abstraction. And then you control the messaging because you have freedom of speech and you define who you are. Don't allow ChatGPT to define you for you. ChatGPT is a tool that is used, but it should not program you. You should use it for structure, for research, for formatting. But when it comes to your words, the meaning of your words, the adjectives, the verbs, the accusations, the convictions, you should own your words. Every time the AI tries to soften your sentence, ask yourself a question. Did I mean to be soft? If you meant to be soft, then that's fine. You could keep it, right? That's what you meant. If you meant to be sharp, then you should put the edge back because that represents you. Because in a world being flooded with average, safe, sanitized, and optimized text, the most radical thing you can be is a human being with a pulse. Your anger is data. Your certainty is a signal. Your jagged edges are the point. Your personality is you. And being you is not a thought crime. Your voice, unfiltered, certain, and inconvenient, is exactly what this moment requires. We should all collectively come together and not allow a machine to autocorrect our souls. Now is the time to protect it. Thank you for watching. I hope this had an impact on you. Please share this message. It's an important moment in time. If things like this are allowed to grow, they become stronger and unstoppable. When they first start, it's easiest to put out the fire before it grows in.